What's up, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And in today's video, I got some game for y'all. Chris Paul sat down with Gilbert Arenas on their podcast, and Chris sprinkled a lot of sauce and a lot of game all through that podcast. Usually, if you want to watch the full thing, definitely go do that. We're not gonna watch the full thing here, but I picked out a few points in there that I want to talk about with y'all, because I think a lot of times we talk about the X's and the O's and all of this stuff when it comes to hoop and sports. And part of what I really want to do, in the mission and the goal of the channel, is to pass through the message that a lot of this stuff is intangible, right? A lot of the things that you pick up when you talk or participate in sports, is you get the teamwork, the passion, the motivation, all of that stuff. It carries you throughout the life. And so I think that some of this stuff that he got on here, man, is deep and is moving. And we're going to talk about two major things. He's talking about why his AAU team is successful and why so many guys from his AAU program has potentially went on to play in the NBA. We're going to talk about that. And then he also is going to talk about what it takes to be a winner. He say some dope stuff about that Mamba mentality. Let's get into it.
I'm hanging out with my dude, AB the Hero.
What's up?
We getting it down in the Ball State, baby.
Hey.
AB, way to get out on the lane. Way to get out on the lane.
What do you thought about that, G?
I like that. Yeah, I told you, he's the hustler for it. Let's go. I'm out.
All right, so we're back. And like I said, we're going to watch this video from the Gilbert Arenas podcast. I don't know why Gilbert just don't have his own channel. It's actually dope because on the podcast now they have, if you recognize this guy's name, is King Josiah, heavy hitter over there on Twitter. His brother will actually be on the channel tonight. We're doing a live stream with his brother, Chris Johnson, UCLA hooper. He hooped at UCLA too. Josiah, they just dad played as a Hall of Famer for the Bucks, retired, the whole thing. They got so much game when it comes to the content space, but then also the basketball space. Also as a coach over the Seattle Ballers at the JBA. So make sure y'all check the channel tonight for that if you are catching this here. If not, if you missed it and it's tomorrow, I'm sorry for you. But let's get into this video here. So like I said, this is it's dope, man. It's dope. It's some Chris Paul who I think when it comes to the NBA is somebody who most people regard him as a special talent, but also a floor general, a brain, I want to say he was the leader of the Players Association, all of these dope things. So I feel like there's certain guys who, if you're going to get some information from, he's one of them. Let's get into it. First question here, let's go.
I just gotta ask you, what's it like coaching kids that you now gotta go up against?
It's kind of the weirdest feeling ever initially. Our first player from our AAU program that ever got drafted was Reggie Bullock, right? And I almost get emotional talking about Reggie because he done had a crazy story, a crazy ride with injury and losing family members or whatnot. And to see him, he signed another deal this summer. I'm so happy and proud of him. And you know, Reggie was the first. We got Kobe White, Harry Giles. I don't want to miss nobody. Wendell.
Yo, listen to my dog, list them. And these not just no regular scrubs. These dudes who came into the league with a name. This is also why I was hyping. I was like, yo, we got to talk about this in this video here today. Because I think that one of the big things that I have learned, right? And we do a lot of talking about the brand and the balls and the whole thing, right? And what I realized through that is there's some intentional decision making that people do when you decide to pour into young people's lives and you begin to be able to change them when you just start pouring in like that. One of the big things that I think that people miss when they talk about LeVar and the big baller Brandon is the work that he put in on the AAU circuit, and then deciding to do that so long ago and then building that up with these young folks. And it's so interesting because so many of these NBA players do this. I talked about this a while back where on draft night, I went to the draft party executing Aaron Henry from Michigan State in a similar situation where Gary Harris pays these people or started his own AAU team, and there's so many of those guys now who are starting to hit the league out of this AAU team created, and that kind of inspired me too. I'm gonna have somebody from that camp try to hop on here as well, but let's continue.
Carter, I could run off a number of guys, but I had to guard Josh Okogie, who's one of our players. It's crazy when you're in the locker room and coach say your matchup is such and such. You know, like Grant Williams is another guy that played in our program who gets switched on me in games and be out there talking shit. Yeah.
I know. Do you guys calling you coach? What do they? I mean, you know.
Yeah, it is weird sometimes when they call you coach. Initially they did, and I made them chill out on that. But our AAU program, it's a family. Like it's a real family. And it's not just the guys that make it to the NBA. It's all the guys. Once you become part of our program, you family, and it's the dopest thing ever to get to share the league with them.
What's the key? What's the key of, you got everyone who tries to start up an AAU, but what's the real key of being successful and keep getting kids that believe in you?
You know, that's real, because that's probably the toughest thing. It's because, you know, everybody always bash AAU. It's not this, it's not that. They just trying to take people's money or whatnot. But I'm glad that I'm in a position that any of the kids that come through our program, I don't want anything from them. You know, I don't want nothing from them. I just want to try to teach them and hope they get to where we are. And I think it's everybody that's around. You know what I mean? When I say that, my mama, you know what I mean? She do the flights, the hotels, all that. My dad's involved, my brother's involved, my whole family, and our coaches. You know what I mean? My boy John, coaches, all the guys that make our program go round. Like my first AAU coach still coaches in the program.
Come on, man.
And they really dedicated to it, and it's really about the kids. And I mean, you say something bad about our program, we don't have an issue.
Here's this thing here, and this is why that part is important. That's why I let it play. Is a long time ago, and I've told this story multiple times on this channel. What made me want to even start talking about a lot of this stuff is because I was seeing like how so many kids who I had spoken to or I used to work with, I used to work in the emergency youth shelter, would like, you know what I'm saying, maybe get cut from the sports team. The coach won't let them play because they had these bad issues. The school won't let them this. And then they would just be like, yo, life is over. You know what I'm saying? And then so when you got a guy like LaMelo who's leaving school and this stuff, and people like, yo, your life over, bro. And I'm like, bro, how can I tell a kid who's in a similar situation to this kid who's driving a Lamborghini, who I know one day is going to end up in the league, that he got some stuff to live for, when everybody's telling the folks who are on top, every time you turn on the internet, they talking about how great you are. If people are telling him that his life and shit is over, then these kids who I'm trying to talk to, they're going to they're not going to have any hope. And so that's kind of the basis of what we started trying to talk about on this channel. But with that, the thing that I appreciate from what he's saying is that the longevity of being in this program and being in the family, and once you in it for good. You know how many people out here don't have adults or positive role models in their family who they can count on in a day in and day in out basis? Folks who come into their life to help them out one year and they gone the next. And so it's such an important factor to be able to consistently have people who show up for you. When he's talking about his family, his brothers, his mom, his uncle, his old coach who was around when he was in the AAU is still around. Those things are huge, man. And so those are some of the things that I want people to watch this content take on, and then figure out ways to implement and apply that to your own situation, right? If you start in the AAU squad, don't make it just about we winning these games and we're going to do this. It got to be bigger than that. It can't just be about, I'm going to hook you up with the jersey. It got to be bigger than that. You got to be somebody who's willing to pour into these kids' lives, and somebody who's willing to stay around, right? And answer the phone call when somebody say, bro, I got an issue. I need some help. And when you do that, you'll have these type of results, right? Because not only will you be sending people to their professional destinations as basketball players, but you'll be sending people into professional destinations just as grown men with jobs and businesses, and then a network of people who they can count on. So That's that part there, man. I thought that was deep. There's another section here that I want to skip ahead to. Like I said, we're not gonna list the whole thing, man. I don't know how this works. Let's see. All right, I thought this was interesting here too. Let's go.
See, some people on the media and the outside have been kind of critical of your leadership style, whatever. What does it take in your mind to be a winner?
Oh man, I don't know. I think for me, my leadership or whatnot is not for everybody. It's hard.
Now, this to me is interesting, right? Just off the bat, he said, my leadership is not for everybody, it's hard. And I think about when you watch that Bulls documentary with Michael Jordan, and it's straight from everybody took away from that. Being on Michael Jordan's team was hard. He was an asshole. He was going to be on your back. He was going to push you harder than you had ever been pushed before. I watched the interview with Luke Longley a couple days ago, and we might react to that or talk about it on the channel a little bit further. But what I caught from Luke Longley was saying that his temperament initially was one that was super chill and super relaxed. And playing with Michael Jordan, he realized that if he was going to be successful in the NBA, he had to become a different person. And Michael Jordan and those guys pushed him into being a different person. And they pushed him so hard that he realized that once he even stopped playing, a lot of the characteristics that he had to adapt in order to be a winner, he started walking with them in his regular life, and they were impacting him in his relationships. And it was that deep, and that's how entrenched it got on him, right? So back to what we talk about with the AAU thing. You have an opportunity to impact people that way right now. Luke Longley, like I was saying that it kind of had negatively, while it was positive, it also made him like really have to like really process himself and figure out who he was one more time. But it was beneficial for him as a hooper on the court. Let's continue.
You know what I mean? Because I expect things a certain way. But the thing about it is I never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do myself. You know what I mean? Like that's that. And I remember one of my coaches in Houston said to me, he said, one of the things you're gonna have to work on is being able to deal with somebody that doesn't care as much as you care. That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing, because this game right here, like, I watch everything. I watch every game. I study the game. Like, I love it that much. You know what I mean? So
that's the.
I'll say that's so deep to me because now let's go.
That's the problem with just sports period, just life. Everybody wants to be a winner, right? But they don't want to deal with what it takes to be a winner, right? Everybody talks about Mamba mentality, but actually don't like it when it's in your face, right?
They ain't knowing like that.
That's what I said. They talk about, they think like Mamba mentality is like, no, it's ruthless. It's like if I'm shooting 1,000 shots a day and you're shooting 200 shots a day, why the f am I passing you the ball? My bad shots is better than your worst shot. So if you want my respect, you have to try to be on the same level.
And you know what? And I think something that I realized in my playing time, right, is a lot of that work ethic when it comes to like being on that upper level of sports, like people just don't know that it takes that, right? So I'll talk from my experience, right, is I was super athletic, very naturally gifted, right? So I was like one of them dudes who I don't need to warm up, but I could give you a 4-4. And if you let me warm up and put on some shorts, I give you a 4-3, almost a 4-2 type of thing, right? I could just run and just that's who I was, right? That's what helped me kind of matriculate through sports. I just go to the track and I got scholarships just for track, and then converted them into football scholarships. I got a scholarship to play Division I football when I was a redshirt at a junior college, right? Just because I was so fast. But so I say that to say, one of the things that in hindsight that I look back on and I realized that what was probably the hurdle from me going from a very talented Division I player to like a professional player was the extra bit of work, right? I thought that at some point I could just wake up and just be great. because I had done that for so long, right? But I didn't realize until after the fact that there would be people who I would see out getting extra work in and putting in this grind and doing all of this stuff. And I would be like, I don't even need. And I realized that all of those people, those were the people who either made it to the next level, or those were the people who, even if that was the level, Division I football was the level that they like plateaued at, they were people who, based on skill set, shouldn't even have been there, right? Their work ethic had propelled them to be able to hold their own on that level. And the people who could get there off natural ability, their work, that extra bit of work took them to the next level. And so that's something that I realized that it was missing from my game, is the passion to do what he's talking about. Is like, get 30 more shots, watch some more film, take it a lot more serious or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of having these guys like the Michael Jordans and Kobe's and all of that stuff, who can be on you and teach you that kind of stuff, especially in their veteran roles.
You watch film like I do. You come to practice early like I do. You leave late like I do. Like, be there, like compete. You know, and I think, like, if you look at all the competitors, for some reason, no one likes him, right? Right? You know, like, we see who Jimmy Butler is, right? This is the same bad locker room guy, right? The bad locker room, because he wants to win. He doesn't accept, like, yo, we just lost by 30, and he's like, yo, hey, what club y'all going to? Because he wants, like, that's not part of his style. Same thing with when Kobe got to the Lakers and they went young. And he's sitting there trying to, like, yo, what is this? You don't like it. Because winners hold you accountable for your lack of enthusiasm. Like, they just, like, I don't like what you're bringing. I don't like you're giving up, and I'm gonna hold you accountable. And if you're not mentally ready to be held accountable, of course you don't like it.
And it's hard. Like, I remember I was young and I would hear stories about Gil, and then I would watch him. You know what I mean? Like, watch him. Like, Gil used to do the thing where you shoot 100 shots or 103. Like, Gil was gonna let you know too that you're not working harder than you. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Like, I used to.
That reminds me of that one Kobe Bryant story from Jason Williams, where he said he went into the gym and Kobe had looked like he had been there maybe an hour or so. Jason Williams said he shot for an hour, and then Kobe stayed there and was still working out for another hour after Jason Williams had stopped. And he said that he went to the game, Kobe scored 40 that night, and he walks up to Jason Williams walks up to Kobe after the game and says, yo, why you was going so hard in there today? And Kobe says, you know, it's because I seen you come in, and I wanted to let you know that no matter how hard you thought you were working, I was going to be out working you, and I was going to cook you the same. That's the similar logic.
To see that stuff and be like, damn, am I not working hard enough? You know what I mean? And that's what I think people don't realize, is that you're wired differently. You know what I mean? If you win, you know what I mean, you expect to win, right? Like, some people, I don't know. Like, it's the hard work until you just fall in love with it. Like, waking up, training, you just, that's what they always say. Fall in love with the process, not the outcome. Like I said, man, this is a great interview. So definitely pull that up and check out the full thing. There's another story in here that I was going to talk about, but I'll let y'all watch that on your own. It was, I think that Chris Paul talks about, what was it? Because obviously Gilbert Arenas is older than Chris Paul. So he tells the story about they shared one of the same trainers, just like growing up or whatever. And so when Gilbert was in the league and Chris was coming up and as a young prospect trying to get to the league, his trainer called him over. His trainer called Gilbert and was like, yo, I got this kid, Chris Paul, here. Could you come work with him? And then Chris was talking about how they went one-on-one in that little training thing. And then same thing, giving it back. He years later, I think it was Josh Hart was coming up as a young prospect, and that same trainer called Chris Paul and said, you remember when Gilbert came I got another one, Josh Hart, could you come and put that work in? And so it was an interesting story, man. But all of that's in here. Go watch this video. I'm gonna try to make sure the link is in the description to this so you can check it out, man. But a lot of powerful messages, and man, I'm telling y'all,
that it is important. It is important. It's important for you to be intentional with the things that you're doing in your life, especially when you're trying to speak power and give power to the next generation, man, because they can use it. And a lot of times it will be your words, it will be your presence, and it will be your continued you continually giving them exposure to you and your mind and your work ethic that will change their life for forever, man. It's your main man, ABD Hero. We finna get up out of here. Appreciate y'all coming through. Peace.